right, so this is the opening special determination meeting. We have to adopt a resolution, and the resolution says the following. This group has reconsidered the circumstances of the emergency and agrees that the emergency continues to directly impact the ability of members to meet safely in person. So these meetings will be held virtually. Okay, do you want me to read that again? No. Okay, so basically in cases where there is a threat or a risk, which right now we are still in a pandemic, groups have a right to vote to continue meeting virtually as opposed to in person. So any questions on that? Okay, so we have several members here. You all are voting members, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can vote. Oh, except
No.
How do you set your name on your video? I've never used Google Meet before.
oh, you go to the I think the dots, change layouts. I don't know. I don't use it very often. Does anyone know? Mark, do you know how?
How did you put your name in?
I do not.
Mine just says you.
Mine just says you.
Well, yours says Rebecca.
It's Rebecca.
Oh, does it say Rebecca Smith?
No, it says Rebecca.
Smith.
Oh.
For me.
So. Okay. Okay, so do I have a motion to adopt the resolution that we will continue this meeting virtually?
Aye.
Okay.
I make a second.
All right, all in favor?
Mm-hmm.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right, so the motion passes. And what I'm going to do is in the chat, I will put that this special meeting has now closed, and then we will just go into the main meeting. All right, there we go. Okay, so this is the Special Education District Advisory Committee, and we are meeting tonight, December 13th, from 6 to 7 p.m. via Google Meet. For opening, what we're going to do is attendance, and if you would, in the chat, just type your name first and last, and then we'll save that chat to take our attendance.
How can I find the set?
Does everybody have access to the agenda where you can pull up the minutes from the last May 17th, 2021?
Oh, that's how you do that one.
Did you figure it out, Rebecca? If you go to the agenda for tonight, you'll see where it says acceptance of the May minutes. I can project it, but then I can't see you. So if you can pull it up, that's great. Does anybody need me to reshare that?
Yeah, could you share it? I don't think
Yeah.
Hi.
And Pravina. Okay. So just sent that. All right, and then the our secretary Rebecca took these notes. If you'd like to scan over them, read through them, and then we can have a motion to approve.
I only see the agenda for May. I don't see the minutes.
So if you go to the agenda, they're linked to number 3, or I'm sorry, number 2. Oh, I'm sorry, we went out of order. We were supposed to approve the agenda first, but we'll do the minutes and then the agenda.
So there's a link. This is May 17th, the SEDAC meeting minutes
Yes.
after number 3.
Mhm.
And so when I open that up, it takes me to the agenda for May rather than the minutes.
Oh.
So I don't know if there's a duplicate document that's attached to the agenda.
Attendees signed in as I think these are the notes.
I think no. I think what I remember. Are there actually notes? From what I recall, happened back in May.
Oh, Rebecca was not able to log in, so she
Well,
watched the public feed.
it wasn't just that. I don't believe we had. Did we have a quorum back then? I think that might have been it. We didn't have one, so we just had like an informal discussion. Is what I believe, or am I not remembering that correctly? I don't think because I'm pretty sure no one took minutes.
Yeah, it was only in attendance me, Mark, and it looks like a parent from the Washington attendance area.
I was there for May, if I recall
Oh,
correctly.
you were?
Yeah, you were. Yeah, you were.
Because Mark and I had a whole discussion about some things that time.
Right, and the thing, yeah, I know. So you were the parent, and I know there was like one more parent.
Okay.
So I have a copy of the meeting minutes that I wrote, but it's different than what's attached to the agenda on the Fremont website.
Oh, okay. Do you want to share it with us?
How do you share screen on Google Meet? I'm a Zoomie.
Oh,
There's a little thing at the bottom that says present. It's like a little arrow with a box in it.
Present now.
And if you pull up your screen with the minutes, you can just
do a window.
I might need
Share.
Permission. There you go. Okay.
Do you see it?
Yeah. Oh, is that different than what I linked?
I think it's the same thing that I saw.
Yeah, that's the same that I linked to tonight's agenda. And that was our last meeting, March 17th.
Right.
So it wasn't, we didn't have
the minutes.
Right, because I recall correct. If I recall correctly, this is what we discussed in March, not what we discussed in May. Because what we had discussed in May, we had a couple of things. First of all, and again, I believe this was informal because I don't know if we had a quorum. I know that we had discussed one reaching out to kind of like the other organizations inside of. I know that was one item that we had talked about. We had also talked about kind of like redefining what the mission statement of the SEDAC would be, and those were my two takeaways from our meeting in May. Which again, this is not. I don't believe we were able to formalize it because we didn't have a quorum.
Yeah, I think you're right. And we had discussed perhaps tonight at our first meeting this year, looking at our vision and what is our goal.
Correct.
To kind of more formalize it so that we can, have more involvement. I know people want to be involved, but I think if we have a clear, defined vision of what we want this committee to do, then we'll get more takers.
Correct. So just to give you an update, I did sync up with. Trying to remember.
Shall I unshare? Excuse me.
Yes, you can unshare.
There.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the name of the lady. It starts with a K. The person in charge of the.
Monica, yes.
Right, there you go.
Monica is our special education PTA president.
Right. So they were open to talking and kind of like doing something together. But I said we were kind of like at the end of the school year anyway, so we were just going to like take it up. We were going to take it up this year. Difficulties, pandemic-wise, notwithstanding, right? So I did do the reach out. So again, I feel like we can do something together. It's just a matter of now like reaching out again and opening that conversation. So that's there, but it does kind of like still leave us with the original question of what our what essentially our mission is.
Yes, exactly. Like the word mission is, I think, captures what we.
Correct, because I believe I understand. I understand the power of that the committee has in order to make the recommendations, right? But to what end is, I think, something that we've never really been able to put a fine point on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is something that. I mean, we can't. I certainly wouldn't be able to kind of like come up with a mission like today, right? It's not something that I was going to propose at this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
What I really thought we should do now is like restate these goals, right? And basically make sure that at least the next time we meet, we have at least some idea of what, of a recommendation of what we think we should be doing, right?
So
unless you already have kind of like a clear idea, if I might be missing something, right? But
no, this is really your committee, and I just help facilitate it,
okay.
To be collaborative. But I really want this to be your committee,
Okay.
and it's advisory in nature. So you can provide information to the board if you'd like to inform them on topics or, impress upon them things that matter to you and things that you would like to see happening. We have number 6 on tonight's agenda. When we get there, is planning and then selection of dates for special ed parent nights. So perhaps when we get to number 6, we can, in our planning, maybe focus on what is our mission and then maybe pick 2 things that we'd like to achieve this year or something to that effect so that we have something to work towards.
Okay.
So the minutes, you're right that in May, those are actually the March minutes that were to be approved in May.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have a quorum. So we just had a very nice discussion. So those are actually from the March minutes. Shall we go ahead and approve those? They're just attendance. There's an attached roster.
Right. The thing is, if we didn't have a quorum then, I don't know if we have a quorum now to approve the minutes.
I think we need 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And Trustee Jones is you don't vote, right?
No.
Okay. So, well, maybe we can skip that and clear that up at the next meeting because it is going back a long way to March. So could be that we don't even really remember that meeting, although I think it was recorded. So I can go back and check that out, make sure the notes are accurate, and then we can bring that back next time. All right, we were supposed to actually do approval of the agenda first. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Aye.
And a second?
Aye.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That's approved. And then there is a part here for oral communications or public comments. I don't see that anyone else has logged in. Did anyone else as a member of the public, want to make any comments tonight? This is on anything. No? Okay. All right. I wanted to do some quick updates for you regarding special ed in Fremont. So a couple things. We are part of the Mission Valley SELPA, and that includes Newark, New Haven, and Fremont. And we, of course, are the largest district at 35,000 students. Our SELPA director is Karen Russell. So she works collaboratively with the 3 districts.
I used to work with Karen.
Oh, yeah. Karen's awesome. So Karen just refuses to retire, right? So Karen is still with us as SELPA director. One of the things that I'd like to mention tonight in my special ed kind of overview and updates is that we always love to have parents attend our community advisory committee meetings for the SELPA. We do them usually once a month. We have a presentation, And so if you go to the Fremont School District website and go to special education and then Mission Valley SELPA, there are dates and times for presentations that we're delivering. We did one on behavior, we did one on mental health. And so we do those topics we generate those topics usually with parent input. So if you're interested in participating in the CAC, we always need more people, and the presentations are really good. So just wanted to point that out to you. And all that information is on our website. What does the CAC do? It's required under the law. We have to have a CAC, and we develop the local plan, we amend the local plan, and we review processes and procedures. We recommend a list of program priorities to be addressed by the SELPA. We do a lot of parent education and recruitment. We encourage community involvement, and then we support activities on behalf of students with disabilities. And we do things like Special Olympics and a whole slew of other programs that we offer, kind of at a site-by-site level. And so the CAC is very important to special education, not just to the SELPA, but to each district. So join us if you can. Check out the dates and put them on your calendar. They're all via Zoom, so they're easy to attend, and we would love to see you. All right. I'm Fran English. I'm the Director of Special Education. I think most of you know me. My Assistant Director is Carly Kim, and my Program Manager is Edie Dalton Saucedo. And all of our contact info is on the district website. A couple things that make Fremont special: we're one of the highest performing school districts in Alameda County. We have a high school which ranks in the top 100 in the country. I think that still holds, right? Mission San Jose. Right now, we have a total of 3,600 special education students, and that's growing. So we declined slightly at the start of the year. We came down from about 3,800 to 3,600. But as we've seen things move forward in the year, we're getting students back. So we are approaching 3,700, and then we expect that to continue to grow in January. Fremont has a 95.3% graduation rate, and our special ed students do well there too. They're right in line with that graduation rate. Our average daily attendance is 98.6%, and we're the second largest school district out of 18 in Alameda County. So that's a little bit about Fremont. And you can learn more if you go to our website. We have a whole page on special ed and a link to the Mission Valley SELPA. So just wanted to share some of those with you since we didn't get to meet last month. And then we are on to number 6. Mark, do you want to lead number 6, the planning and selection of dates? And I think the planning piece will be, kind of to focus on what do we want to do this year? How do we want to use our time?
Wait, I couldn't see that on the I couldn't see that on the doc.
Okay.
I only went to number 5. Looking at the same thing. I don't know if I'm looking at the same thing.
I think it's listed as number 7. It says planning and selection of dates for special ed parent night.
Oh, did I wonder if I linked?
It's for December 13th, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mine
Okay.
is 6, December 13th. Yeah. It's on 6. Yeah.
Oh.
Are there 2 agendas floating around? I hope not. There might be, because I put one in for last week, but then we weren't able to meet. So
Right.
I got the agenda off of the website, the school district website.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So we'll go to 6, which is planning and selection of dates. If we'd like to do special ed parent nights, we don't have to. What we could do is work with the CAC to organize things as well.
Wait, by special ed parent nights, you're talking about, I mean, there's already kind of like a spare.
Yeah. I think last year what we were doing, or what we thought would be valuable, was
yeah, right. Doing something like that.
Yeah,
right.
Team up with CAC, team up with SEPTA, and do some sort of community-based meetings.
There you go. Okay, so let's pick the dates. Let's pick some dates first, right? So typically we've met every 2 months. So I guess we can get that out of the way and just say that we'll do the same thing. So we'll kind of like land on, let's see, December. Next will be February. February 7, I would say.
For SEDAC dates or for
SEDAC dates. I just want to start. We were selecting our meeting dates, right? Or have we already done that?
No, I was thinking that came from that last agenda where we were going to talk with Konica and the SEPTA. And
you're talking about the. Well, then no. I think we need to talk to them first, and see if we're going to do something joint.
Yeah, and we might even just we might not even need to do anything other than maybe attend in support of them doing. You know, our role may just be to go there and support them.
Yeah. So basically, I would say let's table the idea of putting up our own special education night, and just make sure that we attend. And or at least I will. I'll see if I can do something in conjunction with what is it, SEPTA. There you go.
Yeah, I agree with that. Actually, I think that there's a lot of meetings that are happening for parents, and adding one more is confusing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think for us to maybe just go and be there and support and talk about what we do and how people could get involved, and doing it that way might make it just, for me personally, I have a ton of meetings for my typically developing child, and like all the special ed meetings that come up, so it can get confusing. So for all parents, I think it's just consolidating meetings as much as possible. And also what I hear from other special needs parents as well, just that might be a better way to go about it.
And we're getting a lot more attendance. It's really great because we're doing it via Zoom. People don't have to go home, feed the kids, get in the car, come back, worry about daycare or childcare while they're at the meeting. So the wonderful thing that came out of the pandemic, if anything good came, was that we were able to use this format to meet, and it's still personable. You know, we're not in the same room, but we're safe and we're able to interact, and parents are able to attend these very important presentations. So maybe we see it as our goal or our mission to support the CAC and to support SEPTA in the work that they do. And maybe we just leave it at that we're their collaborators and we're here ready to help if they need our help, but we're also just going to attend those meetings and support.
Correct. And that, I think, was one of the things I was talking to Konica about, right? And I was wondering if, and I don't know if today's the right day to talk about it, or maybe we talk about it again later, but I sort of like have the feeling that, so the SEDAC is an advisory committee, and it has that kind of like role.
Yes. Which
may not necessarily be held by SEPTA. You know, they do not necessarily have kind of like that advisory advisory power, but they do have they do have a number of people, right? A number of parents who are already kind of like used to that that venue, that forum for things, right? And so that might be that might be a good way to like work together with them, where we can present them with like this other venue, like this other channel, because ultimately the thing about it is that in order to be able to advise, you just you need like input from a lot of people, and that's what we need, right? And so therefore, for us to be present at kind of like a larger caucus will only kind of like, I think, give better purpose to ultimately the ability to advise the Board of Education, because otherwise it just basically becomes our ideas, right? And like there's only there's like 7 of us here, right? I mean, and so that's where kind of like I was going with that. Ending the school year last year, talking with SEPTA. So I don't know if that runs against whatever purpose we're supposed to have, but I believe that that's where we need to start.
Excuse me, Mark, what is SEPTA?
Special Education
PTA.
Parent Teacher Association. Yeah. So they're a little different. They're a PTA as opposed to a quote committee.
Mm-hmm. So that might be it, right? There's no reason for us to be. I don't think parents need to be kind of like, well, I hate to use the word tribal or anything like that, but separate, right? I don't think that helps. I think basically the more we just get together, I think that'll work. So I don't know how to phrase that in terms of kind of like a motion, but that's what I'd like to do before the next meeting. I don't know. Would you know, Fran, if there's a SEPTA meeting going on next?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how many they have scheduled this year.
Okay.
But I can definitely find out and add that to our
right.
Well, if I understand you correctly, Mark, what you're saying is, in order to function effectively as an advisory committee, we need more input.
Mm-hmm.
And the source of that input could be SEPTA.
And other.
What about SELPA? What about the SELPA?
No, like I said, I'm not limiting any parent organization, right? I mean, that's all good.
No, but I mean to identify, to get started as in moving forward and identifying steps.
I would, like I said, because I reached out to Kanika, I would start there with SEPTA, which is where I believe she's most aligned. If there's whichever one we do next, I mean, I can it doesn't necessarily have to be even like a parent organization, right? I mean, or does it have to be a parent organization?
Yeah, it could be community.
Could even be a student-run organization.
So, and I'll remind you that I don't know if you recall that we did a survey last year, and we can update that survey because students are now back in school in person.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So we had done the survey around distance learning.
Correct.
And the results were kind of mixed. Some parents felt their children were doing well in distance learning and some not so much. The other thing that came out of the survey, and I can compile the results, I think they're attached to a prior agenda, but some parents felt like they were really, really aware and knowledgeable on the IEP process and what's available to them and resources, and some felt like they were completely out of the loop.
Mm-hmm.
So
I remember.
It might be a goal of ours to try to close that gap between those parents who really get it and the parents who feel, it's not being adequately explained to me. I don't understand what my IEP team is doing. I don't know what the rules are, the laws. I don't know what a baseline is, that kind of thing. So we might form some kind of a goal out of that with some baselines, and then maybe offer some parent education, just like special ed 101, or something to that effect. I think we had talked a little bit about that last year. But that's what the data showed us, is that there seems to be a gap between parents who understand their rights and understand procedures and those who don't feel that they have those tools.
Right.
That's a complicated process in itself.
Yes, it is.
Oh boy.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we noted that as well as we went through that survey.
I'm sorry. I just have a quick question because I'm brand new to this committee, and I'm still kind of trying to wrap my head around, like Mark said in the beginning, what's the mission of this advisory committee? Like, what are we trying to achieve? And I think what I'm trying to get is the advice to advise parents, or is more to get the feedback from parents and take that to the Board of Education? Like, are we doing, like, I'm trying to figure that out right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the latter.
It's
okay.
Right.
And there may be processes and procedures to get us there, but this committee came about as a result of I think 4 or 5 parents who went to the board and asked for an advisory committee. At that time, of course, it was FADA was the chairperson, and very sad that we lost FADA last year in a fire. But since that time, Mark has stepped up to fill that role. And now I really think we just need to decide, what is the mission? Originally, it had been to create a non-public school satellite in the district. But what we found this year in the data is that we don't really need that anymore. We have very few students leaving the district to go to non-public schools. So that's really good news. We have our intensive instruction programs, and those are solid. And we're doing such good work there that we have a very less than 1% of our student population, our special ed student population, goes to a non-public school. So that's really phenomenal, a demonstration of our program strength. So we may need to shift from that original purpose was to kind of create more opportunities in the district, but maybe now we need something else. Maybe that's not the direction we need to go in anymore.
Right.
Based on the need. Yeah.
So did that clarify?
So the need is basically how we are getting parents involved and all these data that we're collecting. That's where we are figuring out the need, right?
Yes. So
it's almost like public outreach.
It should be. It should be, right? So originally, I believe, because when we started, there was like a big room of people. Lots of people showed up. I believe there were donuts. I mean, it's like
that was back in the day.
it was like that, right? And so therefore, it was easy to kind of get a lot of input from people, and to move forward, right? I think since the pandemic, I think all over, right? It's just kind of it's become kind of like a different thing. But again, one of the first things we did, actually the first thing we did, right, was to have this survey to kind of get an idea of what parents were looking for. Mm-hmm. And information was really kind of the thing that came out of that survey. Maybe we didn't do it so perfectly because we weren't really able to suss out exactly what information they were looking for. But that was kind of the start of things. And then, at which point, actually, before we even tabulated the survey, we had lost, we sadly lost FADA. And so therefore we were trying to at least complete her work with regard to the NPS. But, as Fran has said, it's no longer, I think we've moved past that, right? So one of the things that I have raised for the last couple of meetings was that, I understand the use of the committee. I understand the power that it has, right? It has this ability to advise, which is not present in any number of other organizations. However, that then makes SEDAC more of a tool, in my mind, than it does make it kind of like a forum, which it was in the very beginning, where there was this big town hall with lots of people, right?
Yeah.
So what I did want to find out, because what we found out from the survey, it seemed that has so far been the best way that we had gathered information. But it seems like now the way to do it might be to work with the more established parent organizations, such as SEPTA, and then the other stakeholders inside of the special education environment of infrastructure of Fremont, right? But yeah, Tamara, you have touched on something that's been a question for us as a new organization for quite a while. And if anything, I would like to kind of land somewhere where this is somewhere where this is defined very clearly with a succinct mission statement, which has been elusive, but that's kind of where we are. I'm hoping that now if I get to talk to once I get to talk to Kanika again, we do something together, perhaps then more of a goal will come up, or more of a mission will come up. Because yes, I mean, at the end of the day too, I realized that as a committee, it's not even technically our it might not even be technically our purview to gather information, so to speak, nor would it be our purview either to educate ourselves, right? It's our purview is to advise. And so therefore, what does that mean exactly is something that we need to get straight. Otherwise, everyone is just going to be puzzled as to what exactly, we're doing. And that's kind of like been the ongoing question. So as I had raised with Fran and everyone here in the past, I'm like, it was much easier when Feda seemed to know exactly what she wanted to do with this committee. But she didn't leave instructions, right? So we're kind of like having to figure that out. So there's the, there's the origin story of the SEDAC for you, I think, as you see it today. Okay.
So what we can do is we do have some data. I also did a classroom teacher, like district-wide, for our CSACE. I did a survey and we got something like 300 responses, which was really great. I can look through those as well and share with you some of the information that teachers and the district administrators in the district had to say about special education and their preparedness, and
Correct.
maybe we can find something in that data to draft a goal around.
Correct.
Then
Or
we have something to work towards.
or maybe we can just
Good.
yeah, or we can just go back to the old survey and then kind of like decide from that. Maybe there are things we can already advise. Maybe there's already things that need to things that we need to bring attention.
But again, I think we need to be specific about who we're advising, so we know what information that we're accessing and going to analyze.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if we're going to advise the school board,
that's it.
Yeah.
we need to, I think, look at teacher input, leader input, parent input to get that overall picture
Right.
with that information. I think that's really valuable.
Yeah, there's a lot there too. Teachers really invested some time in providing input and comments that were really showed, some of the great things that are happening and then some of the areas where we can improve.
Is that then something we could, Frank, is that then something that we could like agree on, where I don't want to feel like we need to become like another SEPTA or like this, or to have like another town hall type thing that happened in the beginning, right? I mean, I think ultimately if there's, just a few of us actual, voting members of SEDAC, if we can go to like the different organizations, then we can come up with advice, we can make advisories then, right? I mean, we don't have to throw the whole, we don't have to fill an auditorium and think, okay, let's take everybody's, different points. We can go to them and just take things that way, right? Instead of like making it so that people have to come to us and then tell us what they need. Why don't we just go out, and then that way we don't have to be that obtrusive, I should say, in the current ecosystem of special education in Fremont.
Another function for SEDAC too is perhaps do a triennial type survey, that we're known for. That's what SEDAC's mission is, as an example, to do a triennial. That's an IEP term.
It is.
For years, you don't want to do a survey every year. You're going to get people burned out and they're not going to want to take it. But if they know there's a survey coming every 3 years and you can get those different points of view, that's really valuable.
Yeah, and I think the survey results are even though they're almost a year old, they're still, I think a lot of what parents brought up is still the same issues, right? And so we could definitely use that data without, like you said, wearing them out with another survey. Here's another survey.
Yeah.
So
I want to recognize Diane first.
Yeah, I want to thank you all for being here. And I know, one of the things that I had talked with Feda about many years ago when she was pushing to create this committee was, you know, really having the input of you folks coming to the board about what you want to see. And I know at the time, and Fran, you may have an update on this. I know we had been talking about trying to bring services for our very high needs students back more locally. And I'm not sure where we are, if that's something that's still in the works, Fran, or if we need some advocacy from this group in order to push that along.
Yeah, we earlier had talked about that was a need several years ago, but we're looking at our numbers now, and we are not sending many students out of the district. And typically when we do, it's at the parents, actually, that's what they prefer is a non-public school, because we've done so much development of our intensive instruction programs that I think they're really working. Most of our students who do go to NPSs are under autism or emotional disturbance. And because we have our Seneca satellite and our counseling enriched classes and then our intensive instruction classes, we've really limited the number of students that go outside the district. So,
and do we happen to know if that's true area wide? Because one of the ideas is that you know, there's no place to serve some of these higher needs students in the area. Yeah. So adding that to something that FUSD could at least provide a location for could potentially help families in the greater area. So while I'm glad to hear that we aren't needing to send as many students to, you know, schools outside of our area, is there a greater need within, say, the SELPA?
The SELPA, yeah. So we do share programs with Newark and New Haven. And so because they are smaller districts, they do lean on us, and we're happy to collaborate with them because they're our partners. And so they use our Green class, which is run by Seneca, and our Walters class, which is run by Seneca. And then they also purchase spots in some of our mod severe, medically fragile classes and intensive instruction. So yeah, there might be a need for, I can meet with the other directors and see, is there a need for a satellite? Because we do have space, right? We have a slightly declining enrollment and some freed up rooms at various sites.
I'm just saying, I think just to tag on to that, I think our enrollment, especially at the elementary school level, is more significant. And so we're going to have space at our elementary sites. Of course, that needs to be mitigated with expanding transitional kindergarten and the potential of going to full day kinder. But I think even with those things taken into account, we're going to have some space at our elementary sites. And this committee is a committee who could give some input. If there's something that you would like to see happening that takes space, well, we may have it. So if there's a service that you would like to see us increase, or a new service that we could provide that requires space, that's something that I think the board would be really interested in hearing.
Okay. Yeah.
No, that's so there you go. I think that's the idea then. So knowing that, we can now go to like the PTA and such. We can tell them that this is a possibility, and let's see what they say, right? And they can get, you know, we can get additional ideas from there, and who knows what that group might be able to add to the conversation. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. Then I think. Oh, all right. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
You had your hand up. Oh, where'd Mark go?
Oh,
he'll be back.
Did we lose him? Okay.
How do you pronounce your name? Samara?
So I go by Gul. It's G-U-L.
Yeah.
G-U-L. Gul.
Gul.
Yes.
Could you spell that again? G-O-U?
G-U-L.
G-U-L.
G-U-L. Okay.
Yes. So I just had a kind of idea while we're all talking about what kind of services we're thinking, what kind of resources we're thinking about. Working as a SLP in early intervention under Mission Valley SELPA, I really feel like we kind of somehow, or maybe the parents who have IFSPs feel left out from the special education department because they are not in that IEP, they're not in the district services, they're not in the district classes in campus. So they often feel like they're like a different entity completely versus they are part of the special education because they are receiving all these other resources from district under Mission Valley SELPA. And I do, like I said, working in that field, I do feel like there might be a need for something where I feel we can bring kids who are going out of the district or we're sending them out of the district, bringing them back into our own district, creating some kind of a program that we keep those students here versus sending them out. So I work in early intervention as a speech language pathologist in deaf and hard of hearing population. And we send a lot of our deaf and hard of hearing population out of the district because they have auditory communication modalities that they have chose or they have chose the total communication, and we're sending them out of these non-public schools and paying a lot of money every year where we can kind of create some kind of a program to keep those students, because we have the capability, we have the SLPs, we have the DHH, we have the capability of keeping those students in. So I just feel like this is something I would like to kind of see if we can get more parents, get more advisory committee to kind of look at into it, maybe get more input from the district to see if it is a valid kind of a solution to send those kids every year outside the public school system, or to keep those kids inside where we create some program and we're not paying every year to those non-public schools. So it is just because I work in that field, to me, this is very important, where I see a lot of my students going out of the district and we are sending those students out of the district and paying for those. To me, it's like, okay, can we create something where we are providing those opportunities, and knowing that we are in that Mission Valley SELPA, where we are one of the biggest districts versus Union City and New Haven, do we have the capability of creating something like that?
Yeah, I'm glad. So Goal works with our younger population, and unfortunately we do have, because of the nature of DHH and sometimes VI and some of the low incidence disabilities, parents are very involved in helping to select the program that has the modality that they want their child to pursue. It starts so early, and then as they get older, that's the modality that the family has to support. So they do have a lot of say in those early intervention programs. And she mentioned, there's CSD has a program, Weingarten, SEED. There's a total communication program in Hayward that we sometimes purchase a spot for. So what we've found in the past is that we have that's a smaller population. So sometimes it's more beneficial to us from a cost perspective to just contract that work out to a non-public school. But there are years when we have higher numbers, and so that might be something to look at, is that the data line of where do we have the kids, and what's the trend, and based on that trend, do we need a program of our own? And so it kind of goes back and forth. Some years we have a high population of infant early start, and sometimes we have a lower. So, but thanks for bringing that up, because Pravina has your hand up.
Can't hear you.
You're on mute.
You're mute.
Sorry, I should know this by now, 2 years into the pandemic. So related to this, another thing that I've heard, I don't have actual data on this, but just from what I hear from a lot of special needs parents that I'm connected with and different people that I talk to on a regular basis, is that while we might not be sending children outside of our district, kids within our district are traveling long distances to schools because their home schools or schools within their area doesn't facilitate this. And this is stuff that I've been hearing. My daughter's 10. And so since she's been in, I mean, we live in Ardenwood, she's traveled to Warm Springs. She's at Millard right now. And I would have loved to have services closer in Ardenwood or wherever they are. That's something I hear from a lot of parents throughout the district about, is that something this committee could bring? Or, I think Mark brings up a good point of meeting with the special needs PTA and saying, hey, what are your 3 or 4 main issues that you'd like, or looking at the survey that we could talk about. But I think distance is a big one that has come up multiple times.
Up in the survey, some parents.
Yeah, I saw that in the survey as well.
If we want to wrap up here in a minute, since it's past 7, we can go ahead, and what I'll do between now and the next meeting is I will put together that data in a format that you can look at on your own, and then when we come together next time, we can actually just crunch that data and look at it and look at data points and come up with, what is it that we need to study. And sometimes the board likes what they call a study session, where you take a topic like transportation maybe, and then you just sort of collect all the data and draft a report and deliver that to the board. So that's what we did with the SRO task force. That's the kind of information they like to have. So I think if we look at those survey results from the teachers and the parents, we could find some really good topics to pursue within that, and then maybe narrow it to the most important ones to work on from January through June.
Right.
Fran, can you confirm the next meeting date?
Yes, let's see. I have it down for, we had to miss a meeting. I'm not sure if we want to schedule an extra meeting maybe at the end of the year. We're required to have, under the bylaws, 4 meetings per year.
Yeah, I'm open.
We can go a 4th meeting and have a party.
Right.
Yeah, maybe in person. Who knows?
One of the things.
Do you want me to write up the minutes also?
Yes, please. That would be wonderful.
Okay.
Right.
So it looks like our next meeting is February 7th.
Right.
Wow, 2022. That's
a Monday.
Weird. So that is a Monday, and it's February 7th. Yeah.
6 to 7 p.m.
6 to 7 p.m.
1,800 hours.
Would it be something that we could look at to kind of like redraw the structure of the committee? Because it might be difficult. Like if every time we meet, we lack a quorum. I mean, maybe this needs to be redefined, right? Maybe we were meant to operate, in a much sleeker manner, I should say, than what might have been envisioned in the first meeting, with the entire auditorium, right? Mm-hmm. Again, I think maybe that's it, right? Maybe we really need to just be a committee versus like an association, right? And that might be it. That might be it. That might be the focus that we're looking for.
Should we table that for the next meeting since it's late?
Oh, because we're at the end, yeah. But I just wanted to know before we table it, is this something we can discuss? Because I don't know if this is something that like categorically is no, that's not within the charter, right?
No, I think that would work. Yeah, there's some flexibility in the bylaws. So
I'll put that in the minutes.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so do I have a motion to end the meeting?
At 19:08.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy
holidays, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Fran?
Oh, yeah.
I have a quick question.
So I stopped the record. Hold on. Your video is being recorded. Stop recording.